Hello everyone and welcome back. Now let's kind of play a little game here, I guess. Can you guess what we're going to do right now? We're going to do the magnetism ritual today. That is our overarching goal. But I ended up with enough materials to perform the ritual that's behind me. So that's what I want to do right now. And that is the taint thistle. Because this randomly appeared in our grinder, the only thing I could think of is a peck dropped it. I have no idea where else it came from. But I created a gluttony rune. I already had a mana rune. And the mana petals and mystical are easy. So what we're going to do now, actually the biggest problem when creating this was the Vitum. So I've got, let's take a look here. So it requires this Vitum stuff, aqua, and it requires some air and fames. Now this is the only one I'm concerned about because it only requires 4, but I only have 11. So if anything goes sideways on that, that's going to be the problem. So we'll see how that goes. But to get this stuff, I went into one of my random ages and I just created a cauldron. I dumped a whole bunch of junk in it, waited for it to break down and overflow into a whole bunch of slimes, killed them all, put them all in my gold bag so they didn't afflict me with taint for carrying them. Brought them back here, dumped them in there. So now what we're going to do, this is a moderate, so I have spares just in case. So let's see what happens. Gotta keep an eye on all the materials. Luckily there's only 5. But that Vitum was actually a bit of a pain to get because I let that system run overnight and I had no idea that a slime could get them. There we go. It's right here. And was it here? Okay, so I did actually pop one off. Oh, we didn't need anything else. Yeah, I haven't quite got the stability going the way I want it to yet. I think those things below might be too low. So here is our taint thistle. Let's do that. Oh, it's a Botania flower, so it's already scanned. All right, so we've got this. I don't know where I'm gonna put it. I'm not sure yet, but I just wanted to create it just in case we needed it. And here comes some of the crazy. So we're gonna put it right here. Go over here. Put some of our stuff away that we don't need. Here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to get together the materials necessary to create the calcinator and the other tools we need to get started on creating the components to augment the ritual of magnetism and crusher. Once I get all that set up, I will be back. Alright, welcome back. Now, I've picked the spot where the ritual is going to go. Now, this is in our random age 1. It's actually a cave world underground, and when you come up here to Y level 128, you get some vegetation. You can see some weird oak trees and things like that growing here. Now, it is not exactly healthy to stand in the light in this one, so I'm staying under these trees. But the very first thing we're going to do here is we're going to build magnetism. So I've got my ritual stones, I've got my master stone here, so we're going to get magnetism built out, and I'm not going to activate it just yet. And now that we've got magnetism, we can do crusher. Now crusher needs to be, so there needs to be 3 blocks of space in between magnetism and the crusher here. So they're meant to, fit on top of each other. I can't seem to aim. There we go. So now we'll build crusher on here. Okay, so that's done. So we'll put this away. Just kind of put some torches on here because the wildlife does spawn around here. So we'll get those in place. We can take that one down. So now this is where our ritual is going to go. This will give it 128 blocks of Y to work with. Now you can see here. So we fall quite a ways down, and then it opens up. I'm not sure how well this is actually going to show up here. It's all pretty dark, but you can kind of see off on the horizon. That's not sky, that's more cave. So if you fly off that way, I mean, you can see I've lit up some of it here, but not much. And as soon as I saw this, my first thought was either I could build something in here, or I could use this excessive amount of material in here as a place to mine. So that's what we're going to go with. We're going to mine here. Now, let's this away. Need to get that stuff put away as well. Mandrake seeds we don't need. Alright, so now, oops, one more thing. There. I keep a stockpile of those things on me. Alright, so now the other components here to make them actually work the way we want them to. So I've been cooking up a bunch more. You can see I got 43 more terra. I got some simple catalysts left. This one's empty. This one required, they're strengthened. What else it needed here? Okay, so it needs terra and gunpowder to continue on with that one. I'm not sure how much these things are going to use up, so I was kind of reluctant to make a whole bunch of them just to find out I didn't really need it. So you can see I've got 32 and then 84 of this. Now if I remember correctly, each bell jar held, I thought it was 16 worth or 32 worth, I can't remember. But we're going to get started on this here. So we've got our alchemic calcinator here. Now the hardest part about this one is actually these cracked plates. They're a bit of a pain to make. They require 2 imbued slates and a concentrated. The concentrated is the one that was kind of made things a little more complicated. And oddly drained. So fractured bone, strengthened catalyst, which we already had, and a gold nugget, which is easy. The fractured bone was simple. That's just 4 bones, piece of gunpowder, basically blows it up and gives you the fractured bone. The strengthened catalyst is simples and then some netherwort and bone meal. Again, pretty easy. We've a little netherwort farm over there, and it's not like we're shy on bones anywhere, and gold nuggets easy enough to get. So once you get through that point, then it's just a matter of getting these 2 slates, which are fairly simple. I want to say they cost about 8,000 life points to create. So that gives us all these, and it takes a strengthened catalyst in the middle, and you get your calcinator. So the calcinator is kind of a neat little gadget here. If you look at it, you can see there's kind of a shelf right there. Let's see if we can get to it. That's where the blood orb will sit, is on that shelf right there. And then you see there's no interface to it. The blood orb, see, the first time you right click on it, you want it to be with a blood orb, and that'll go on that little shelf, which gives it, it's kind of like its fuel. Any other time you right click on it, it'll go on the top here. So let's just try it out and see how it works here. I made a few extra blood orbs while I was running, so we right click once, and you can see the orb right there. And now what we're going to do is we're going to grab, let's just start out with 16 of this stuff, because like I said, it's a bit of a pain. And now in theory, if we, so you can say I put 1 in there, it looks like it feeds in a single piece at a time. So hopper is how we're going to do this, I think. So I don't feel like having to click and click and click and click. So if I remember right, you can hopper into these things. Now, I was looking around, and from what I can see from the documentation, it looks like this thing is capable of routing directly into a Master Ritual Stone. So we can do that, and you can see it kind of turning colors there as it builds up. Let's see, we can't... Interesting. Okay, so if you use a hopper, it can feed all of them in there. That's neat. If you right-click on it again, you pull out whatever's left. Okay, so that was our calcinator. Let's build, we're going to do 1 bell jar to begin with. And you can see the bell jar is, this is the concentrated catalyst, which was the one we looked at before with the bone, the strengthened, and the gold nugget. And then just some glass. It's basically a beacon, but with slabs and concentrated catalyst. So that gives us this. So let's just put that there. So that gives us our bell jar, which you can see empty, doesn't really do much. And what's next? We need these things, which are quartz rods. You can see how they're made there. Now, this one takes quartz rods there and there. That gives us the alchemic router, which just takes a strengthened catalyst there in the middle. So that gives us that one. Next piece. Do I remember how to do this? No, I do not. Here? No. Oh, which one was it? No, that's right. What's in the middle? Strengthened. Strengthened. Yeah, that would do it. Yep, that would do it. Luckily, we have a decent amount of gold. Little Gollum lock there in the cellar's been doing a pretty good job lately of keeping us in gold. So here. Alright, that gives us the alchemic segmenter. And then we need 4 more of these around some simple catalysts to get the cleanser. Now the fun part is to see if I can remember the sequence of clicking to make these things work. Because you got a segmenter and you got a router. So I thought with the router, so it's cleared, so I shift right click up in nowhere. Nope, not what I wanted to do. Attune crystal. Okay, so I shift clicked on this. Now you can see that the color of the actual tool changed color and it says it's got terre. So now I should be able to do a right click and a right click. Maybe? Oh, yep, there you go. You can see it just above the chat box down there. It's filling up. So how much does this thing hold? Because I'm not really sure on that. Oh, I think it's 6. Yeah, that's right. 16. No, it's only 7. Did I run out? Oh, I emptied out the internal buffer. I thought it held, now that I think about it, 16,000. It's 1,000 per unit. That's why I was making these in groupings of 16. I knew there was a reason for that somewhere. Because there's an internal buffer. Like as it cooks, it goes into a kind of a staging buffer. And then this thing actually has, I think, 2 tanks inside of it. So you can see if you look at it, every now and then a 20 will pop up over the sword down there. Like 20, and then it fires over here and it goes up. So I'm going to let this burn out and fill this thing up. And as soon as this thing gets full, which is about 4,000, yeah, about 4,000 more, and then I will be back. Okay, so burn down all of the Orbis Terrae. So we got 16,000 of that, and we've got 16,000 Terrae. So this takes care of magnetism. Now, over here, the Ritual of the Crusher takes Potentia, Virtus, and more Orbis Terrae. So since I already had 16 of the Orbis Terrae, I just burned it up and put it into this one. So now what we need is our Potentia and our Virtus. So Potentia, this is supposed, oops, let's go grab our orbs real quick. I took them out so they wouldn't start cooking right away. So this should be Potentia. Let's see if it cooks up. Okay, it does. Good. And this one should be Virtus. So both of these take strength and catalyst. So it actually took me a little bit to get back to this point because I had to make up a bunch more of them. Good. So we have Virtus and we have Potentia. So once I get the 16 of each of these cooked up, I am going to melt them down, put them into their respective jars, and we'll go from there. One thing I didn't cover, this thing, the little frisbee of the alchemic cleanser, all you do is right click on it. So like if I right click here and here, you can see it clears it. So what I do is between each one of these times, what I'm doing is I'm right clicking on it because before it was linked from here to this jar with Orbis Terrae. So if you don't clear it, it remembers that path, which I didn't want it to. So I cleared it out. Now the one thing we haven't looked at yet, so we haven't actually used the segmenter yet, which is eventually going to be coming up because I kind of want to play with that and see how it works, is this thing, the alchemy relay. So it takes a concentrated, some string, and some iron. So this is the hardest part to get right there in the middle. That gives us this thing. And you can see if we put it down, can we see it? It looks really neat. How do you pick it up? Can you just break it? Okay, how do you pick it up? No? Maybe you just beat on it for a while and eventually, there it goes, along with part of the floor. Okay, so it just takes a little bit to break. It doesn't give a breaking animation. So the theory with this thing is, if I understand it correctly, this thing can act as an intermediate between a jar and a master stone. And this thing has 2 individual buffers inside of it. You can't really see them right now. But I could actually link this to here, and then link this to here, and then from here I can link it to a master stone. So both these would project into this thing, and then this one would shoot into the master stone. So it kind of condenses them down. I think it has a pretty small buffer inside of it, but I'm not sure. Okay, it does count as a full block. You can stand on it. I'm not sure we're going to need it. I'm betting we probably are, since we're using the bell jars, so I'll probably have to make 2 more of them, because I think it can only route 2 things, and we've got 3 jars here. So I'll probably get enough to make 2 more of these, and then I'm going to get this stuff melted down into its jars. Once I get to that point, I will be back. Alright, and we are back in what will now be our mining dimension. We'll see if my frame rate holds with all these trees. What the heck is that? I have no idea what that is or why it's there. I haven't really been flying through here at all. Weird. Okay, now back to the task at hand. So I am standing on top of the crusher right now. So what we need to do is try and figure out how the segmenter works. So what I want to do is have these two, so the Veritas and the Orbis Terrae going through that one over there, and then the Potentia going through this one, because I'm really not sure. I suppose what we could do is this first. Let's see, can we do this and this? We can. That's not good. Crap, that's not good. Okay, I guess it's not going to be running its full output here. All right, let's try the segmenter here. So if we right click, no, shift right click. Okay, so we shift right click, it's set to Potentia. So let's right click here. So tank 1 is set to Potentia. Tank 1 is set to Potentia. Now click somewhere else. Nope. So shift click again. It's now set to Terrae. So I want that to have Terrae and Terrae. Then we'll shift click on here and there, right click and right click. So in theory that should work. And now this one's already set to Potentia, so I should be able to set a link if no connections remaining. And clear that one. Clear that. Okay, that doesn't have any links. Let's try this again. The router. So right click. How does it have no connections remaining? There's no connections. Let's try right click and shift right click here. It keeps saying no coma. There we go. Okay, so now it's transmitting to here. And then we'll clear it, right click here, and right click here. So now it should go from here to here into one of the tanks. No idea. I must have had it clicked and then didn't realize it was already saved. So now if we shift click here to switch us over to Orbis Terrae, then we right click and right click. That sends it over to there, so that should fill up to 2000, was it? Yep. And now we need to shift right click to clear, right click to set, right click to set, shift right click to clear, shift right click to set, which sets it to the Veritas. Then we right click once to take the link and right click it again to send the link here. Now we need to clear it, set it, and set it. So assuming this works, so see now you can see it. You can see this is kind of a funny orangish color, and then when I look at it, I can see that it has 2 things. It has 2,000 of each in it, where this one has 2,000, because I specifically set 1 tank in this one, just in case for some weird reason I need another one. So you can kind of see the paths they're following. Now this thing has 3,000 Potentia in it, so there's a good chance we're not going to get very good results for a little while, until it burns that off, because it's like 10 per tick. Each one of these is supposed to, it takes, I think they hold 16,000 AR, so it's like Alchemy Regent or something like that, and it's worth 1,000 per item you put into it. So now we're going to activate. Now this chest here, hopefully these will still flow. You still working? Okay, I'm hoping they can flow through that. Otherwise that'll be a bit of a problem. Ow, ow, ow. Sunlight, sunlight. This chest here runs into an array I made down on bedrock. So it's just it's basically an array of barrels. I moved a whole bunch of our other storage barrels down there, linked them all together, and kind of go from there. Okay, now let's see if we can do this again without confusing myself anymore. So shift right click, so it's set for Orbis, then right click, shift right click, and right click. So that should set it there. And then we get rid of this, clear our router here, right click once here and here. Are you going to work? Is that thing actually in the way? Alright, so we'll clear it, set it, set it. Something doesn't... See, it looks like it's doing something, but it's not actually sending any. Oh, that's why. Let's clear this out. Clear, clear. Just be safe. Alright. So the very first thing we have to do is shift right click to set this thing to Orbis Terrae. Now that it's set to Orbis Terrae, right click, right click. Did I do it right that time? Link container has no... Now I see why people consider this to be confusing. How about you? Do I need to clear you? Okay. Let's try this again. Link. Link. There we go. Now it's linking up and it's turning green. And it should stop at a single 2000. It's all the shift clicking and right clicking and shift clicking and not right clicking, and it gets kind of weird sometimes. So a single right click sets this as our source destination. Okay. And we didn't segment that one. Nuts. Alright. Okay, let's see. There's that. So that's definitely segmented. Tank 1. Tank 2. Okay. So now, in theory, once that burns off, it should hold enough. So we're going to shift click to clear, shift click to set to Terrae. Now we're going to right click once to link and send. Clear, link, send. Okay, so now it's funny colored, so it's got those two in there. Well, on the plus side, this is a bit of a learning experience for later on. So this should now be active. So in theory, if I go click, that should fire up. Oh, that's neat. It flows right up there. I'm not entirely certain how this ritual works, because that one's all black, but then again it might be the Potentia blue or something, but this one's Orbis Terrae colored. Now there it goes. Okay, so it must have been going through the layer here that we're above ground here. So now what should happen is it should slowly pull everything through there, and I did bring a chunk loader. The thing I'm not sure about with this, oh, that's a pain, is if I need to chunk load the whole area, if this thing is capable of, if it'll actually load the area when I'm not in here. Otherwise, right now, you know, it's only going to do, what you can see here, radius of 9 chunks, so 3 by 3, which is what, 30, 16, say 24-ish, something like that. So this should be breaking and sending into there. Well, worst case, it doesn't work out all that greatly. Let's go back and check and make sure everything is properly going into the barrel system. So if we drop down here, return, loading. Alright, so now we go down to our Thaumcraft area, down to the area where I cleared the spawner out, which is down here. Okay, so this is where the spawner materials are going. They're still flowing in through this chest from over there at the Well of Suffering. They're flowing all the way through here, and anything that's left over ends up in here, so you can see some armor and random head. Down here, where the original well used to be, is where I put this kind of array. So let's see here. So here's our black, brown chest, so you can see coal coming through. It's occasionally getting a 2, so that part looks like it's at least kind of working. Now the end goal here is when we come down here, We've got a bunch of junk in here still from when we were doing it. But anything that's an ore that would be harvested from the ground that ends up in here, like see salt. Eventually I'll probably want to put salt in one of these barrels. Now, all of the iron colored barrels have void upgrades in them. None of these do, including that one. Somehow I miscounted my upgrades. So we kind of have to keep an eye on these to see if they get close to being full. Because obviously, you know, cobblestone, things like that are going to fill up faster. But, coal. Did not need 2 of those. So, not working. There. You can hear the creepers detonating the tube. Alright, so there's that. Alright, so that puts the coal back where it's supposed to be. Perfect. So the idea is just every once in a while come down here, like see, okay, these will probably need to be in their own little barrels eventually. So let's just put them, oh, there's a bunch of them. Actually, I'm not even going to deal with those right now. What are their IDs? I could probably use a filing cabinet for them later. I think that's what I'll end up doing. So come over here, miss the platform. Just want to dump this stuff in here. Okay, so that's our ritual running. And go over here and just take a look and kind of update on what I've been doing in here. I haven't really changed anything here, but what I did was I run around the room and I labeled all the jars. I also put the void jars in several locations. Like you can see I didn't have 2 full jars of Bestia, but I wanted it anyways, just because I know that's not really that useful. Same with this corpus here. I had a whole stack of them. I just drained them all so I could get the jars back. Terra is one you'll get a ton of. I've done a few of them. Metallum, that's one you get a lot of. Messis, I really didn't need a bunch of. When I need it, but I'm never really going to need a ton of it. I could probably get away with just having 1 void jar of it. So that's going to be kind of how I'm going to run around just to see how things go. You can see I've got a little bit of the limus here. That came when I melted down the taint chunks. Taint. Where are they, little thing? These things right here, the tainted goo. This is what I was getting from those slimes on the other side, which we'll actually take a peek over and take a look at. But these are, it's 3 of this Vitum per goo. So I melted down quite a few of them. That's good. That stuff will probably last us forever. We aren't going to need that much of it. So now what we're going to do, let's come up here. I'll just kind of show you the setup I've got running. And then I think we're probably going to call it after that. It's a pretty basic setup, but at the same time, you know, it served its purpose. This is basically like a magic toxic waste dump, really. So you come over here, because I wanted it far away from the portal. And here is my classy setup here. So all I'm doing is on the other side, under those 3, right there, there, and there, there's an infinite water source with a world interaction node, keeping this thing full. And then up here, I got a cobblestone generator. Now, in theory, I really didn't need to do this. I probably could have just lined a 3x3 area or something like that with cauldrons and then just dumped a bunch of junk in them and let them go. But, you know, this way creates an insane amount of flux goo. I came in here and this entire chunk, I've got a screenshot. I'll see if I can find a way to wedge it into the video. But I came in here and you can see, so this is the chunk right here. And it was full of slimes. So it was definitely interesting to end up seeing it. But you can see the critters spawn a lot in here. Let's get rid of that mode. But it was some of the slimes were big enough that if they stood on the obsidian, they would almost touch the top here. They'd just been standing in that slime for so long. But I've got the taint growing there. I took the chunk loader out of here, and I don't know if that's ever actually going to spread, so I'm kind of just leaving it alone. But that's where I got all the goo from. I stood over here and I waited until all of the taint slime had kind of eroded away into slimes, and I killed them all. And as soon as they landed in my inventory, I tossed them in my bag of holding. That way they wouldn't taint me and disappear. Then once I got back, I opened up the hopper and I stood on top of the hopper, opened up the bag, and just dropped them right on it. I think I only got tainted once from that entire process, which worked out pretty good. So I think overall, I think that stack and a half, stack and 3/4 is going to last us quite a while. But we'll kind of cross that bridge when we get to it. What I think I may try next, I'm going to look into the other rituals. I'm thinking either it's like it's like Rhythm of the Beating Anvil or something like that, and there's Orchestra of the Phantom Hands. Those are two rituals I haven't seen anything on, because I was kind of looking at them because I didn't know what they were at first. The only place I've been able to find any information on them from is the actual Blood Magic thread on the Minecraft forums. The Phantom Hands is a sorting ritual of some kind. It can actually create kind of a magical routing system where you tag chests and inputs and outputs of things, and the ritual moves items around between them. So like you could create an automatic furnace, and items would just land in this chest and appear inside the furnace. The finished products would disappear and appear inside the output chest, and it was weird. And then the other one, the anvil one, is auto crafting for blood magic. So I'm going to take a look at that one and see, like, it would be useful, I think, with blood magic to have some automation going for like these, for the ritual or the runestones, because I want to take that entire altar over there and I want to replace it with sacrifice runes. But it's a bit of a pain to stand here because you need 2 of these, 4 stone, and 2 of these, 4 stone, and 2 gold, and a ritual and an orb per, and it takes forever. Oops, give me that back. So it takes a while to do that, and it was one of those things where it's like, if I can automate that process and just, dump a bunch of slates and gold in there and have it spit out what I want, that'd be kind of cool. I also want to set up an alchemy ritual somewhere. I need to find a spot to put it. I'll probably kind of go off in that direction from the altar for the Ballads of Alchemy, I think it's called, so we can get some automatic catalyst creation and stuff like that going. So it'll probably go, I'm not sure I'm going to keep the doorway here, it just doesn't seem to fit. So I may run off in this direction and create like this array of alchemy rituals and just kind of go from there. But I think with that, I think we're going to end. I've rambled more than enough. We got our magnetism ritual activated in Snowballs. So we got the magnetism, we got the crusher, we got the calcinator, the router, all those fancy little gadgets, and kind of have a grasp on how to use them. It's going to take a little bit of practice to get used to all the clicking and right clicking and shift clicking, and to get everything going with that. But once we get that going, I think it'll be a little bit easier, since you can pipe it into pretty much all the rituals. But we'll kind of cross that bridge again when we get there, and we will see what we're going to do next time. I'm going to do a little research and see if I want to go into one of those extra rituals, or if I want to try one of the really big ones, and just kind of go from there and see what we're going to do. And I will be back later, and I'll talk to you next time. Thank you for watching.